11 lawyers failed, but the cleaning lady showed the solution in just 2 minutes. The Millionaire CEO offered her his company. 11 Ivy League lawyers stood frozen powerless, defeated until the janitor holding a mop spoke up. That clause isn't locked. It's just written backwards. The room fell silent. She wasn't supposed to be there. Not in that meeting. Not solving legal nightmares worth $60 million. But in just 2 minutes, she saw what no one else could. And the billionaire CEO, he didn't just listen, he fell in love with the mind no one bothered to notice. Because sometimes the person everyone overlooks is the one who saves everything. The girl no one noticed, Chicago. Winter wind clawed through the glass of the boardroom like it had something to say. Inside, the heat was on, but no one felt it. 11 lawyers shouted over one another. Ivy League voices laced with panic. Papers rustled, pens tapped. A glass of water spilled across a mahogany table. No one noticed, except the woman who came to clean it up. Lena Morales pushed her cleaning cart in quietly, wearing a faded Garfield t-shirt under her blue uniform. Her sneakers squeaked softly on the marble. She moved like she'd learned long ago how not to be seen. She knelt in the corner to clean the spill, head down, but her eyes, dark and observant, flicked to the whiteboard. Klaus 38B, red marker circles, notes in frantic handwriting. Legal chaos. She read it once, then again. Up above, Damian Hayes, the sharp-jawed CEO of Hayes & Lee, stood with his back to everyone. Eyes closed, fingers pressed to his temple. Every breath he took seemed laced with disappointment. It's locked, one lawyer said. Legally unbreakable, said another. We're going to lose everything if we can't rewrite this. Damian turned, cold gray eyes sweeping the room. You went to Harvard, Yale, and Columbia, and this is all you've got. Lena wiped the puddle. The mop left a clean streak across the chaos. And then, quietly, like a thought escaping before it could be caught, she said, "It's not locked. Clause 38B, it's just backwards." Whoever wrote it flipped the logic from Article 127 of the Federal Code. It's a structure issue. The room stopped breathing. One by one, 11 lawyers turned toward the janitor. Damian's gaze landed last. A man used to spotting weakness, now staring at a woman who hadn't blinked once. "How do you know that?" he asked, voice dry. Lena stood up slowly. Her voice was even. "Because I read it. It's in one of my books at home." A lawyer scoffed. Another rolled her eyes. "With all due respect," one said, "this is a professional environment." Lena gave a small smile. "And was I wrong? Because if this is about my uniform, I've got a blazer I accidentally bought at Goodwill, thinking it was a sweatshirt. I can wear it next time." Damian took a step forward. "Did you study law?" 3 years. I dropped out to raise my son, but I kept reading. A professor from my old neighborhood gave me his set of legal books. I read them every night after Miguel goes to bed. Damian stared like she was a puzzle missing all the wrong pieces. "Repeat what you said." In detail, she did. Every clause, every precedent. No hesitation, no notes. A woman paid to clean his windows was now cleaning up a $60 million legal mess with her bare intellect. "You can't act as a lawyer," Damian said quietly. "I know. I'm not asking for a title, just the chance to help. Then come to my office. Now." She blinked. "The floor's still wet. Let the lawyers step around it." The room didn't move. Lena picked up her bucket and walked out, mop in hand, leaving behind stunned silence. She wasn't hired to solve problems. She was hired to disappear into corners. But that day, she didn't just get noticed. She changed the story. Chapter 1. The clause that changed everything. Damian's private office. Top floor, early morning light filtering through tall glass. Outside, Chicago rushes by. unaware that everything inside is shifting. It should have been an ordinary Tuesday. But the moment Lena walked into Damien's office, pushing her cart, smelling faintly of lemon floor cleaner and library books, everything tilted. She didn't sit when he gestured. Not at first. She looked at the leather chair like it was made of glass. Then she sat carefully, as if trying not to leave a wrinkle. Damien watched her like she was an equation that had too many variables. "This," he said, turning the tablet toward her, "is the clause our lead counsel wants to use as precedent. Your thoughts?" Lena scanned it. Her lips moved slightly, mouthing words, like someone reading to a child. Her eyes narrowed at a specific line. She exhaled softly. "It's a trap, and not even a clever one." "Explain." "The phrase, transfer of contractual responsibility, is placed before the conditional clause. That's a violation of Article 21. Any judge with a basic grasp of intent interpretation would toss it." Damien raised an eyebrow. "You memorize articles." "No, I understand them. The number's just the address. The content is the actual law." For the first time in years, Damien Hayes smiled. Not the polite, corporate kind, the real kind. The kind that makes your mouth pause for a second, unsure what to do with so much honesty. He pulled up another document, an asset protection clause designed to bury risk inside ambiguity. Lena shook her head before he finished speaking. "Rowan v. Palms Trading, 2021. It violates good faith principles. You can't use fine print to shield a bad deal. Judges see right through that now." He blinked. "You read that case." "I read all of them. I read to survive. Some people read to sleep. I read to stay awake." Lena recalls the day she chose a mop over a degree. Miguel had a fever. Rent was late. The babysitter quit, and a temp job opened up night shift. Cleaning. Cash weekly. She never meant to stay. But life doesn't care what you mean to do. "Books don't cry at night," she told Damien softly. "Babies do." Back in the office, she laid out a full restructuring plan for the clause in under 10 minutes. Robert Chen leaned against the wall, arms crossed. He looked like a man watching someone repaint his masterpiece. "That's not how we do things," he said tightly. Lena turned to him with quiet steel. "Then maybe it's time to do things better." She wasn't trying to impress anyone. She was just telling the truth no one else could see. After she left, Damien sat in his chair, staring at the door. He hadn't just found a loophole. He'd found something else entirely. Someone who didn't need power to hold it. She walked out with her mop and her notebook, and left behind a room full of lawyers, wondering how they'd missed the smartest person in the building. Chapter 2. The Ghost in the Hallways. The law firm of Hayes and Lee. Long hallways with polished floors. Private glass offices where whispers mean more than memos. The next day, Lena returned to work the same way she always did. Faded jeans under her uniform, hair in a loose bun, a backpack that had seen too many winters. But something had changed. The lawyers didn't meet her eyes in the hall, not because they didn't see her, because now they did. Damien had said it clearly. No one can know in meetings. Legal arguments began to bend toward Lena's observations, not spoken aloud, not credited, just absorbed. By Friday, someone left a post-it on the supply closet door, scrawled in rushed handwriting. "Does cross-compensation apply to temporary services?" Lena answered with a folded napkin taped to the coffee machine. "Only if it's clearly stated. Watch out for Article 92B. She became a whisper, a rumor, a ghost in the hallways who knew more law than the firm's own associates. Marcus, the intern, noticed something others didn't. Every time a lawyer got stuck, someone would miraculously come up with a solution. A solution that sounded just like something Lena had said 3 days earlier while wiping the glass doors. That's when he started recording. A casual moment. Lena leaning on a broom handle, explaining contracts to two young interns by the break room. A termination clause. She said, "That's like a breakup, where nobody did anything wrong." But a rescission clause. That's when someone was secretly eating all the popcorn during the movie. Breach of trust. The interns laughed. And if someone lied about liking horror films just to impress the other, that's misrepresentation. Entire relationships voided. Marcus posted the video on TikTok at 2:00 p.m. By 6:00, it had 300,000 views. Viral shift. Janitor JD. Legal queen. Smartest in the room. Comments flooded in. I just learned more in 60 seconds than my whole semester in law school. Why isn't she teaching? This woman needs her own Netflix show. When Lena walked in the next morning, everything was different. Sarah nodded politely. Robert didn't meet her eyes. Even the receptionist whispered, "You've gone viral." Damien was already in his office, watching the video over and over. She hadn't said anything wrong. No confidential info. Just the truth. With metaphors that made people finally understand the law. Later that afternoon, she walked into the break room and heard two junior lawyers whispering, "Hayes is different lately. More precise, sharper." Yeah, and the weird part, it's not coming from us. Consultant, legal, crystal ball. Lena walked past with her mop and said softly, "Maybe it's just good coffee." They blinked. She smiled and walked away. She wasn't trying to become a legend. But the truth is, real power doesn't shout, it whispers. And it's always watching. From the corners, no one thinks to look. Chapter 3. Truth in the Shadows. Hayes and Lee Law Firm after-hours offices. Glass walls glowing against the Chicago skyline. The video hit 1 million views by morning. Then 2, then 5. Lena's face, soft, focused, holding a broom like a sword, was now the face of legal wisdom across the internet. She hadn't asked for any of it. No makeup, no speech, no script, just metaphors, truth, and her natural clarity. And suddenly, the world was listening. The firm's phones rang off the hook. Journalists, law podcasts, TV producers. HR called a meeting. Should we address the viral video? Should we take a stance? Damien watched it unfold with a strange ache in his chest. He wasn't angry at Lena. He was worried. Not for her. For himself. If people knew the truth, that the firm's best legal strategist had no degree, no license, no title, what would it say about the people with all of that? What would it say about him? "We need to talk," he said, calling Lena into his office. She came in calm, poised, wearing the same worn shoes, the same quiet power. "I saw the video," he said. "So did half of TikTok." She replied with a shrug. "Do you understand the implications? I didn't say anything classified. I didn't name clients. I just explained the law. But the world now knows that my firm, this firm, is taking legal strategy from a janitor." There it was. The word, the line, janitor. Lena blinked once. No anger, just clarity. "Are you ashamed of me?" He froze. "No. Then what are you afraid of?" "That people will know intelligence doesn't always wear a suit." She stood straighter, softer, but stronger. "I didn't make the video, but I'm not sorry for it. If one girl in a public library watches that and believes she can understand the law, too, then it was worth it. You're putting the firm at risk." "No," she said, stepping closer. "Siendo anxiomes. I'm putting truth in the light. You're the one hiding it." He didn't respond, not because she was wrong, because she was right, and every part of him knew it. Lena walked to the door, then turned. "You said you needed me, but I think what you meant is you needed me as long as no one else knew." That night, she stood in her kitchen, folding laundry with Carmen, her mother, Miguel was already asleep. He called me a janitor. Lena said quietly, "But you are," Carmen replied gently, "and you're also a legal mind, a mother, a warrior. Titles don't shrink or stretch your worth." I just thought he was different. Maybe he is, her mother said. But even the smartest men can be afraid of the light. Meanwhile, Damien sat in his glass office, watching the city. He replayed her words in his mind. "You're not hiding me. You're hiding what I make you question." And for the first time in his adult life, he didn't know what to do next. Truth doesn't beg to be believed. It just waits quiet and patient until someone is brave enough to stand beside it. Chapter 4. The Courtroom. Whisper. Chicago Superior Court. Monday morning. Cold. Marble floors. Tension as thick as fog. The courtroom was packed. Media sat shoulder to shoulder with law students and competitors. Everyone came for one reason: to watch the firm behind the janitor genius defend the most important merger case in the Midwest, Clause 38B. The same clause Lena had first flagged as flawed. The same clause Damien now had to defend without admitting where the idea came from. Lena sat in the back row. No blazer, no name tag, just jeans, a soft blouse, and quiet eyes. Miguel had kissed her hand before she left that morning. "You got this, Mom. You always do." Damien stood before the court. His opening was perfect, confident, precise. He cited the exact precedents Lena had given him, word for word. The judge nodded. Opposing counsel took notes. For a moment, everything was calm. Then came the crossfire. "Your Honor," the prosecutor said smoothly, "we must challenge the foundation of their defense. The Fitzgerald precedent they lean on was partially overturned by Torres v. Infinity Holdings just 5 months ago." The air changed. Damien froze. He didn't know that case. Neither did his team. Sarah flipped through papers frantically. Robert leaned over, whispering, "We didn't see that." Damien's mouth went dry. "Mr. Hayes," the judge asked, "would you like to respond?" Silence. Then, from the back of the room, a whisper. Article 127, Paragraph 3. Partial modification, not full. It was Lena, still seated, voice barely audible. But it was enough. Damien straightened. "Your Honor, respectfully, Torres Farixaris. Infinity Holdings did not overturn Fitzgerald. It merely added a narrow exception in the case of hostile takeovers. This is not that." He turned to face the courtroom again, voice gaining strength. "Furthermore, Torres explicitly notes that its modification only applies where there's coercion or hidden imbalance. Our merger was voluntary, documented over 8 months of transparent negotiations." The prosecutor sat back, surprised. The judge raised his brow. "Objection overruled. Please proceed." 2 hours later, the ruling came in. Clause 38 B Sagi Ictenberg Serie B was upheld. The firm kept its $60 million deal and its reputation. But Damien wasn't celebrating. He was looking at the back row, and Lena was gone. Damien found her 2 hours later, back in the break room, wiping a whiteboard. "Why didn't you tell me you found the Torres case?" he asked, breathless. "You were already nervous. I figured if it came up, I'd be there. You saved me. I reminded you of what you already knew. You saved yourself." Then he said, "The one thing that changed everything. I want to make this official. Be my lead legal advisor. Full benefits, full salary, recognition, no more secrets." Lena looked at him for a long time. Eyes glassy, breath quiet. "Are you serious?" "Completely." She nodded. "Then I accept. But I'm not wearing high heels. My mind works better, flat-footed." That night, Damien didn't go to a boardroom. He didn't attend the after-party. He walked Lena to her bus stop. The two of them stood quietly as Chicago lights blinked around them. "You're incredible. You know, he said softly. She turned toward him. I'm just someone who learned to survive. That doesn't make me special. It does to me. He stepped closer, not rushed, not impulsive. He kissed her, soft, honest, real. But when they pulled apart, he stepped back. That was a mistake. Her face changed. Slowly. A mistake. She repeated. He nodded. You work for me now. It complicates everything. Lena didn't argue, didn't cry. She simply stepped away, adjusting her backpack. If that's how you see it, then it was. She walked into the night. She had given him everything. A win, a truth, a heart. And all he saw was a problem to manage. Chapter 5. Boundaries and Broken Trust. Hayes and Lee offices. Midweek. Polished. Sterile. Lena's world feels colder now. Lena arrived at the office early, just like always. But everything was different now. The desk that once held quiet, thoughtful coffee deliveries now held only files. The man who once whispered her name like a secret now nodded at her like she was a Tempa. Damien hadn't spoken to her since the kiss. He left roses on her desk Monday morning. White, delicate, expensive. She picked them up and carried them straight to his office. He stood as she entered, unsure. She placed them on his desk. They're beautiful, she said. But I'm allergic to roses, he asked. No, too expensive. Scented apologies. She set down a small folded note beside the vase and walked out. Inside, he opened it. Next time you want to apologize, try using words. Flowers die in a week. Honest words last forever. That night at home, Miguel sat at the kitchen table coloring. Mom, the flower man is outside again. Lena looked out the window. Damien's car, parked, waiting. Is he your friend or your boyfriend? Miguel asked. I'm not sure, she said softly. Well, Miguel said, pausing his crayons. If he's confused, he shouldn't make you sad. I don't like when you're sad. Me neither, she whispered. Back at the office, Damien tried again. He left her a cup of coffee from her favorite corner shop. She thanked him, but said, professional courtesy doesn't undo personal confusion. He offered to help organize her legal research library. I'll manage. I always have. In meetings, he praised her ideas in front of the full team. Ms. Morales has a valuable perspective, he said, trying to give her the floor. She smiled politely. Thank you. But my work speaks for itself. That Friday, Damien tried a different route. He left a book on her desk, New Precedents in Contract Law, a brand new release. Lena flipped through it, clearly intrigued. At the end of the day, she returned it with a post-it. Thanks for the loan. I've ordered my own copy. No anger, no sarcasm, just walls strong, clear, and earned. The next morning, he tried to talk. She met him halfway. Damen, let's set some rules. He nodded, silently bracing. 1. My work stays excellent because I love what I do, not because you need me to save you again. 2. Our professional partnership is solid. Let's keep it that way. 3. What happened in the parking lot stays there. She paused. 4. Stop trying to fix a broken moment with coffee, flowers, or compliments. If it was a mistake, let it be one. But don't disrespect me by pretending it didn't happen. Lena, that's it. Let's move on. She walked away. At home, Lena folded laundry beside her mother. Carmen watched quietly, then said, You're not crying. I don't cry over men who get scared, Lena said, especially not ones who confuse admiration with love. Then why do you look so tired? Lena smiled faintly, because holding boundaries is heavy sometimes, but it's lighter than carrying regret. Meanwhile, Damien sat in his office, staring at his own reflection in the glass. He didn't miss her kindness. He missed her presence, the spark, the quiet challenges, the woman who never tried to impress and somehow impressed him more than anyone. And he had told her It was a mistake. Some people lose diamonds because they're too busy chasing glitter. Others just don't know how to hold something that real. Chapter 6. The Boy Who Knew. Lena's modest apartment. Early evening. The hum of streetlights. Warm kitchen light. Friday night. Miguel was drawing on the floor while Lena scrubbed the sink like it had said something offensive. The week had been long, the kind of long that presses into your chest and makes silence feel heavier than shouting. Mom. Miguel called. The flower man is down there again. What? She asked, wiping her hands. The one with the black car. He's looking at our building, but he won't come up. Lena walked to the window. Damien stood on the sidewalk, hands in his pockets, looking up, not daring to move. Miguel joined her. Is he your friend or your boyfriend? Lena smiled softly. Why do you want to know? Because if he's just your friend, you should invite him up. Grandma says friends are welcome. And if he's my boyfriend, Miguel shrugged, then you have to decide if you like him or if he's just confused. She turned to him, surprised. Confused people make you sad. I don't like it when you're sad. Lena knelt down and held him. What do you think he is? Miguel looked out the window again. He's like Pedro in my class. He likes Sophia, but pretends he doesn't because he thinks the other boys will laugh at him. Lena laughed through her nose, eyes stinging. You're very smart. You know that Grandma says grown-ups are just kids who forgot how to tell the truth. Outside, Damien stood for 10 minutes more. Then he got in his car and drove away. Lena stayed at the window long after the taillights disappeared. Miguel had gone back to his crayons. Mom? Yes. If he comes back tomorrow, can I talk to him? Why? Because confused grown-ups sometimes need help from kids. The next morning, Damien arrived at Lena's desk at the office. Lunch. He asked. Work lunch. Case discussion. But somewhere else. Lena raised an eyebrow. What kind of case? He hesitated. The kind that can't be solved with case law. They went to a small cafe, not his usual upscale spot. This one had mismatched tables and a chalkboard menu. Lena ordered salad. Damien picked at a sandwich. He didn't speak for the first 5 minutes. Then, I don't know how to handle what I'm feeling, he said. Finally, and what are you feeling? He looked up, unsure. Like I admire you, want to be near you, understand how you see the world. And that scares me. Lena put down her fork. Are you confused? Because you fell in love, or because you fell in love with someone like me? He blinked. What's the difference? The difference is, I don't need anything from you. Not your money, not your name, not your approval, just you. And maybe that's why you don't know how to handle it. Damien's silence said everything. You're used to women who need your status. I don't. That means you have to show up as just you. And that terrifies me. He admitted. It should. He looked down, then back at her. About the kiss. I still believe it was inappropriate. You work for me. I never want you to feel pressured. She tilted her head. Then maybe don't kiss someone if you're not ready to own it. It wasn't out of admiration. It was because in that moment, nothing had ever felt more right. Lena leaned back. Then why did you call it a mistake? Because I was afraid of losing you. As a colleague, as a friend, I didn't know what it meant yet. And now I know. I don't want to keep pretending like you're just part of my team. She looked out the cafe window. I'm still confused. Damien, because I care, but I'm not someone who can afford confusion. I've got a little boy who watches how men treat me, and I won't let him learn the wrong lesson. They sat in silence for a while, not tense, just honest. When they returned to the office, Lena paused at her desk. Do you feel something for me? He asked. She met his eyes. I'm sorry. Damien, but I'm confused too. And unlike you, I don't have the luxury of kissing someone and calling it a mistake after. She picked up her files. When you figure out what you really want, let me know. Until then, we're colleagues. Good ones. That night, Lena told her mom everything, and Carmen, without missing a beat, said, "Sweetheart, sometimes men take longer to figure out their hearts, not because they're weak, but because they were raised to think emotions make them less. So what do? You keep being you. If he's smart, he'll catch up." Sometimes clarity doesn't come from experience. It comes from a child's question, asked without fear. And once it's asked, you can't unhear it. Chapter 7. When the CEO sat in the back row. Hope Community Center, Saturday morning. Plastic chairs, faded murals, coffee brewed in an old church kitchen. Damien didn't plan to go. He just drove. No suit, no agenda, just a growing ache in his chest that said, "You won't understand her until you understand her world." Hope Community Center was nothing like Hazen Lee. No polished marble, no titles, no soundproof glass. Here, people interrupted, laughed too loudly, and brought their babies because they had no babysitter. Here, Lena was a queen, not because anyone bowed to her, but because everyone trusted her. Damien stood at the entrance, unsure. Then he saw her. She was explaining rental agreements to a circle of older women and young moms. Her sleeves were rolled, her voice steady. Someone asked about late fees. "It depends," Lena said. Was it in writing? Was it agreed? And most importantly, was it fair? They nodded like her words were scripture. Damien stepped inside quietly. "Mrs. Rosa noticed first. Is that your boss?" She whispered to Lena. "Yes," Lena replied. "The famous one, the confused one." They both smiled. After the session, Damien waited. Lena approached, cautious but not cold. "What are you doing here?" "I didn't want to just admire you from a distance anymore. I wanted to see you here." She crossed her arms. "And I think this is the first place I've ever been where the smartest person wasn't trying to be seen." Lena introduced him to the group. "Everyone, this is Damien Hayes, my boss. He's here to learn." Some clapped. Some offered coffee. Mrs. Rosa leaned in and said, "You look better out of a suit." They sat in a circle. Mr. Carlos asked about being charged for car repairs. He didn't approve. Lena looked at Damien. "Want to take this one?" He froze. I'd rather watch you." She smiled. For the first time, he didn't need to be impressive. He just needed to be present. For 2 hours, he listened to women asking how to fight eviction, to men who didn't know they could challenge payday loan contracts, to a teenage girl trying to understand her college grant agreement. He saw something no courtroom had ever taught him. Power doesn't always come with credentials. Sometimes it walks in wearing jeans, holding a legal pad and a baby on its hip. After the group dispersed, they stepped outside. "You okay?" Lena asked. "I'm better than okay, even though no one bowed to you, especially because no one did." They walked in silence. Then he stopped. "Lena, I think you're not just intelligent. You're wise, and there's a difference." "What's the difference?" she asked softly. "Intelligence solves problems. Wisdom changes people." She looked at him, unsure of what to say. He reached for her hand, gently. "Can I stay?" "As long as you're not here to be the hero, I'm here to learn." For the first time in his life, the CEO sat in the back row, and he realized that was where the real education began. Chapter 8. Public Declaration. Hayes and Lee Annual Gala. Friday evening. Golden light. Champagne glasses. A ballroom built for reputations. The ballroom shimmered. Waiters carried silver trays. Strings played soft music. The air smelled like wealth, legacy, and too much perfume. And then Lena walked in, not in uniform, not holding a mop, but in a simple navy dress, hair down, eyes uncertain. Everyone noticed. Damien nearly forgot how to breathe. He walked toward her. "You look beautiful." he said quietly. You look like someone about to do something dangerous, she replied. He smiled. I am. For the next hour. They didn't speak much. Lena spoke with clients, joked with interns. She even taught Marcus the legal term for don't post that. Damien watched from across the room, heart pounding. Then came the speech. He tapped a glass. The room went quiet. Every year, he began, I stand here and tell you how well we've done. Cases won, revenue, expansion, polite nods, champagne sips. But this year is different, because this year, I learned something that didn't come from a textbook. He scanned the room until his eyes landed on Lena. I learned that intelligence isn't about a degree, leadership isn't about a corner office, and value doesn't always come with a title. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Sarah leaned forward. Robert whispered, Is he really doing this? You all know we closed the biggest deal in this firm's history, but what you don't know is the person who made that possible wasn't wearing a suit. She was wearing sneakers and carrying a notebook. All eyes turned. Lena froze. Lena Morales, Damien said, stepping off the stage, is not just our janitor. She's our brightest mind, our quiet strategist, and the person who reminded me what law is supposed to be service. He walked toward her. Clients stepped aside. Interns gasped. Damien took her hand. So tonight, I have 2 proposals. She blinked. 1. Lena, will you be my official partner? Not assistant, not ghost. A full partner at Hayes & Lee with profit share, voting rights, and leadership over all social initiatives. She was too stunned to answer. Tears filled her eyes. 2, he whispered, dropping to one knee. Will you be my wife? The room exhaled like no one had breathed in 20 seconds. Lena put a hand over her mouth. Are you sure? She asked. More than I've ever been about anything. Because I don't come with polish. I come with a son and scars. And Saturday mornings at the community center. I don't want Polish. I want you. She nodded, crying. I accept, but on one condition. He stood. Breath caught. No expensive flowers. What? He laughed. If you want to give me something, build me a library, one with soft chairs, and a spot for Miguel to study. He kissed her, slow, reverent, and this time, no one called it a mistake. The room exploded into applause. Sarah wiped her eyes. Robert clapped harder than anyone. Marcus whispered, I knew it. For once, the smartest person in the room was no longer hidden in the shadows. She stood in the center, loved, chosen, and finally seen. Chapter 9, The Wedding of a Legal Legend. Hope Community Center, spring, a Saturday, where laughter echoes and stories cling to folding chairs. There was no cathedral, no country club, just a room that smelled like fresh tortillas and clean hope. The folding chairs were wrapped in colorful fabric. The altar, a simple table, draped with cloth. Carmen had hand-stitched for weeks. Miguel ran around with a clip-on tie and a plastic badge labeled Ring Security. Lena stood in front of a cracked mirror, adjusting the sleeves of a white dress she bought secondhand and had tailored by a neighbor. You look like joy, Carmen said behind her. I feel like breath, Lena whispered. Like I've been holding it for 6 years. Damien arrived early, no limo, just the same black car, and a navy suit. He didn't want to look expensive. He shook hands, carried chairs, spilled juice on his tie, and laughed. You're not what I expected from a billionaire, Mrs. Rosa told him. Neither is this wedding, he replied. That's why I love it. When the music started, a playlist Miguel had picked himself. Everyone turned to see Lena walking down the aisle, not alone. Miguel walked beside her, proud, serious, carrying the rings like they were secrets from heaven. Damien's throat tightened. I don't deserve her, he whispered to Marcus. No one deserves her, Marcus said. But you showed up. That counts. The vows. Lena stood at the altar, No trembling, only strength. For years, people called me the janitor who knew the law, she said. Voice steady, but what they didn't see was I wasn't cleaning floors. I was cleaning the lies people told themselves about worth, about class, about who deserves to be heard. And then I met a man who didn't hear me because I had a title. He heard me because he was finally quiet enough to listen. Damien, I don't need a castle. I don't need roses. I just need this. A home where I can speak and be believed. Damien's turn. You taught me that intelligence isn't loud. It's in the quiet things. How you fold your notes. How you teach justice with cake metaphors. How you raise a boy to believe in decency. I spent my life trying to impress people with numbers, and you impressed me with truth. Miguel handed them the rings. Now you're my assistant too, he said to Damien. The crowd burst into laughter. What's the salary? Damien asked, kneeling. Ice cream and Saturdays off. Deal. They shook on it like it was a merger agreement. After the kiss, instead of catering, there was a table of homemade food. Everyone brought a dish. The richest woman in the room complimented Carmen's mole sauce. The most powerful lawyer learned how to fold napkins from an 8-year-old. No one cared about titles. Only stories. Only love. It wasn't the most glamorous wedding, but it was the most honest, because in that room, they didn't celebrate success. They celebrated transformation. The janitor didn't marry a CEO. She married a man who chose her truth over his pride. Chapter 9. The Wedding of a Legal Legend. Hope Community Center. Spring, a Saturday, where laughter echoes and stories cling to folding chairs. There was no cathedral, no country club, just a room that smelled like fresh tortillas and clean hope. The folding chairs were wrapped in colorful fabric. The altar, a simple table, draped with cloth. Carmen had hand-stitched for weeks. Miguel ran around with a clip-on tie and a plastic badge labeled Ring Security. Lena stood in front of a cracked mirror, adjusting the sleeves of a white dress she bought secondhand and had tailored by a neighbor. You look like joy, Carmen said behind her. I feel like breath, Lena whispered. Like I've been holding it for 6 years. Damien arrived early. No limo. Just the same black car and a navy suit. He didn't want to look expensive. He shook hands, carried chairs, spilled juice on his tie and laughed. You're not what I expected from a billionaire, Mrs. Rosa told him. Neither is this wedding, he replied. That's why I love it. When the music started, a playlist Miguel had picked himself. Everyone turned to see Lena walking down the aisle, not alone. Miguel walked beside her, proud, serious, carrying the rings like they were secrets from heaven. Damien's throat tightened. I don't deserve her, he whispered to Marcus. No one deserves her, Marcus said, but you showed up. That counts. The bows. Lena stood at the altar. No trembling, only strength. For years, people called me the janitor who knew the law, she said. Voice, steady, but what they didn't see was I wasn't cleaning floors. I was cleaning the lies people told themselves about worth, about class, about who deserves to be heard. And then I met a man who didn't hear me because I had a title. He heard me because he was finally quiet enough to listen. Damien, I don't need a castle. I don't need roses. I just need this. A home where I can speak and be believed. Damien's turn. You taught me that intelligence isn't loud. It's in the quiet things. How you fold your notes. How you teach justice with cake metaphors. How you raise a boy to believe in decency. I spent my life trying to impress people with numbers, and you impressed me with truth. Miguel handed them the rings. Now you're my assistant too, he said to Damien. The crowd burst into laughter. What's the salary? Damien asked, kneeling. Ice cream and Saturdays off. Deal. They shook on it like it was a merger agreement. After the kiss, Instead of catering, there was a table of homemade food. Everyone brought a dish. The richest woman in the room complimented Carmen's mole sauce. The most powerful lawyer learned how to fold napkins from an 8-year-old. No one cared about titles, only stories, only love. It wasn't the most glamorous wedding, but it was the most honest, because in that room, they didn't celebrate success. They celebrated transformation. The janitor didn't marry a CEO. She married a man who chose her truth over his pride. Chapter 10, starting again. Together, early morning, Lena's small kitchen, a steaming mug, open enrollment form, and sunlight touching the edge of her legal textbook. The kettle whistled. Soft light filtered through the window. The apartment was still, except for the sound of a pencil tapping gently against a course planner. Lena stared at her law school acceptance letter. It wasn't just paper. It was unfinished business. "You really going to do it?" Damien asked, leaning in the doorway with 2 mugs. "I already did," she smiled, sliding the letter across the table. Enrollment confirmed. "Classes start Monday." He placed a mug in front of her. His other hand rested on her shoulder. "Warm, steady. I'll rearrange meetings, morning drop-offs, bedtime, dinners. I've got them." She looked up. "You don't have to carry me." "I'm not," he said. "I'm walking beside you, like I should have from the beginning." Miguel came in, rubbing his eyes, hair a soft mess. "What's going on?" he mumbled. Lena knelt, eye level. "I'm going back to law school, sweetheart." His eyes widened. "But I thought you already knew all the law." She smiled. "Knowing and finishing are different. Some dreams don't die, Miguel. They just wait." "So this is you, chasing it again?" "No, this is me, catching up to myself." That evening, Lena cleared off the tiny desk in the corner of their living room. Textbooks, flashcards, highlighters in every color. Damien walked in and saw her there, hair pulled back, glasses slipping, heart fully in it. And he didn't interrupt. He just stood at the doorway, smiling. Every night, Lena studied. Every morning, Damien made breakfast, while Miguel packed her bag. The family moved in rhythm. Not perfect, not easy, but together. Some nights, she cried from exhaustion. Some nights, she laughed at how much she'd forgotten. But every night, she kept going. Sometimes the most underestimated person in the room is the one who lifts an empire, not with power, not with wealth, but with love and the courage to start again. Night, a quiet library, one lamp glowing, Lena writing in her notebook while Miguel sleeps nearby. Damien closes the door gently behind him. Sometimes, the stories that change us the most don't begin with a kiss. They begin with a mop, a question, a voice in a room where no one expected to hear one. Lena Morales didn't set out to impress anyone. She didn't ask for attention, or sympathy, or shortcuts. She read law books while folding laundry, learned case precedent while putting her son to bed, carried truth in her pocket like a quiet kind of armor. And when the world finally looked up and saw her, she didn't ask to be crowned. She just asked to be seen. Damien Hayes built his empire with strategy, steel, and silence. But it wasn't until he met a woman who challenged him with kindness that he finally saw the power of soft things done consistently. She didn't shout. She didn't demand. She just showed up with everything. She was honest, unfinished, and extraordinary. And love, it didn't come in a perfect moment. It came with spilled coffee, a whispered legal clause in a courtroom, a 6-year-old boy holding rings like they were gold, and a library built from dreams that refused to die. Maybe I didn't become the lawyer I dreamed of at 18, Lena once told Miguel, but I became the woman I needed to be, and that was worth even more. So if you're watching this right now, feeling unseen, unfinished, or too far from your dream, let Lena remind you, dreams don't die, they just wait. Strength doesn't always shout. Sometimes it scrubs floors and remembers court cases by heart. And love, real love, it doesn't rescue. It walks beside you. If this story moved something inside you, stay with us, because the next one, it goes even deeper. Until then, believe in the quiet ones. They're the ones who change everything. If you felt something, share it in the comments. Subscribe if you want more love stories that heal. And remember, your voice, your worth,